Hi guys, welcome back to DR Sports for another edition of the Weekend Roundup Show. A place to grab all your transfer news and a roundup of the pre-season action. With myself, AGT, we've also got Lady in Red, Abby Summers in the building.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. Nikki Hawkins is back in the building.
Back in black.
Back in black.
Back to Black, love it, great album.
Yeah.
And also Laurie is in the house as well, representing
Big old
Reggae
Jamaica.
Boys. Now listen, it's a very special show today, and I believe there is some congratulations in order. All right, just bear with me a second.
Thank you. I'm thinking it's... I'll close my eyes.
We've got the official Spurs J-League World Challenge Championship.
A trophy at last.
Trophy, guys. Ready? Wait! Listen.
No, honestly,
thank you.
It's been 16 years, so
6,000 days, by the way.
Wow.
6,000 days.
Things are changing. Highline for life, mate.
Highline for life. It was a one-off game, and we won a trophy from it. And we love a pre-season trophy. Never forget the Audi Cup, guys.
Never. Honestly, put it there.
Thank you, because I got to take what I can get.
I think that'll be the first of many then, eh?
First, like I said, I put it on my story the other day, guys. First of the season. First of the season.
Get them in early, Abby says.
Absolutely.
Starters you mean to go on.
Exactly. Starters mean to go on.
Create that habit of winning, right? No, it's a big one. Well done, Abby.
Thank
well
you.
done, Tottenham Hotspur. They are officially the J-League Challenge Cup champions.
You'll never sing that.
23-24 though. Is it still?
It's technically 24-25.
I mean, yeah, it just kind of sums it all up.
That sums it up.
Can you
That
not
sums
break
it
my
up.
trophy, please?
Yeah,
Thank
so
you. We worked very
it's-
hard for that.
It's quite ironic.
Thank you.
This last year's one, they just couldn't afford this year's one.
We won the
Big up.
Rivals in Red Cup.
Sorry?
I don't know if we got a cup for
The-
it. though.
What? Because you beat,
Rivals in Red.
because you beat United.
I'm sure we'll touch on that later.
Okay, I'm sure we will. I'm going to talk about that offside goal as well. Not that I'm sticking up for Manchester United. I'd never do that.
United.
It's good to be back though. Smash that like button. Get your comments in. We're going to be speaking about Guardiola. Is he undecided on his future? Is he going to stay? Is that good news or bad news for you? We're also talking about Liverpool's lack of transfer activity. Spurs have had a few updates as well. And Arsenal, they are looking to complete the Calafiori deal today. He's flying out. Looking at Mikel Merino as well, and a lot more as well. So make sure you stick around, get involved, jump in the chat, ask us some stuff, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Let's kick off then with Pep Guardiola. He did say very recently that there were raised doubts over his future when he said he was closer to leaving than staying. He's added and said, well, I didn't say I was leaving. 9 years at the same club is an eternity. I don't rule out extending the contract. I want to be sure it is the right decision for the club and the players. When I decide, I'll talk with the CEO and the sporting director, but I want to start the season and look how everything is going and how connected we are after. We will see. How do you take that news? He's almost playing a little bit with the media, isn't he?
It sounds like to me, which I feel like we kind of all, I mean, I feel like that it's probably one more season then he goes. I mean, he's won everything there is to win. Yeah. And obviously it is difficult to get that same momentum.
Not the Europa League.
Not the Europa League, but they're bigger than that. They're better than that.
Still
they
not
are.
won it. Not won that.
No, they haven't won that. They'll never win that. But it's hard to keep going, especially when you've done so much at a club. And I think that battle with him and Klopp is another thing that obviously kind of wrote the script for the last 7-8 years where Klopp was there at the same time. So I think he's got one more in him. I think the same for Kevin De Bruyne as well. And then I think maybe they both leave City at the end, this time next year. I don't think it's going to happen this season, in my opinion.
As an Arsenal fan, and you're hearing that news, it's almost like can't you just leave already and be done with it now?
Not really. I'd quite like us to win the league with him there, because I think we can do it this season.
Only one person has done that.
Yeah, exactly. So why can't
Actually,
we?
it's Antonio Conte and Jurgen that have done that.
You
But it's
always
very difficult.
find a way of meandering.
Always.
Back to bloody Liverpool.
I'm proving your point. It's very difficult to do whilst he's
It
there.
isn't an easy thing to do, but listen, I'd quite like him to stay for a year or two. And Arsenal win the title, because then it will give it extra sauce. But I would say, I agree with Abby. I think he might duck out before the charges come, or around about that time. Whether it will come at the end of this season towards the end, I'm not sure. But he will be missed, though. Personally,
That's what I think he's waiting. That's what I personally think he's waiting for. I think he's waiting to see what the charges are. there's obviously a big cloud over them. I still don't think there's going to be that much ramification for him.
No.
I really don't, because of the brand it is. But I think he's got that hanging over him a little bit, and I think he thinks, well, if that comes, now's the time to duck out, because 9 years, 10 years, whatever it be, by the time he goes, if he's got to start again, if all these charges come on top and they start to lose players, maybe get relegated, he's not staying. He's not staying up.
It's a long time as
he'll
well.
be gone
It's a long time to be at the same
He wasn't
club.
at Barca for that long. He wasn't pushed out of Barca. I think he left of his own accord. Same as Dortmund. Munich.
He's only at Barca for, 5 years?
5 years, yeah. And I think Munich was even less than that.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about
Yeah.
9-10 years. Like
But
that's a
9-10
long
is a
time.
lot.
One of the things that always intrigues me about the greats, not just managers, players, anyone at the top level of sport, is how they continually motivate themselves to get the very best out of themselves. So he's been at City a long time. He's won pretty much everything. There must come a point where he's thinking, as much as I love my job, I love what I do. You know what I mean? There's other things out there
he
for
had
it.
that. He had that a year's hiatus in New York. I think he went to live in New York for a year, just to chill out a little bit. I think when he left Barca. So he's obviously a man of a bit of culture, and he wants to do a little bit of travelling. Management is a hard job.
Yes.
It's a hard. You get this. The players go off for the summer. The manager can't really do that, because as soon as the season finishes, you've got the contracts ending and everything.
It's very
It's
stressful.
It's a long time. I can see him going into management, to international management.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see him now with Spain on the rise again. I think next year.
He wouldn't go to Spain, though.
I don't
Because
know.
he's Catalan,
thing,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because
reckon
Guillem Balaguer told me it's likely to be Brazil or Portugal would be the
I
ones
feel
that
like
he'd go for.
Jose
England.
goes to
What about
Portugal.
England?
Or England as well, but in terms of like a foreign country, it would be one of them two.
But-
Been here long enough. He's
But also,
qualified
I
citizen.
feel like this is the same with Klopp. Like with this whole England thing, is he going to want to take a job that soon after? He's been in a very highly stressful
won't.
job for 8 years. Like there's a thing there. You might want to just take some time. And obviously with England, they're going to be looking to sort someone out in the next 6 months. But I don't think Klopp's ready for that. And by the time that Pep makes a decision, England will already have someone in place.
If I was England, though, I would get on my hands and knees and just say, look, if there's a chance that next year you are available, I'll give you an open checkbook. You take whatever you want, because that is the man with the players that
He's
we've
used to
got. He's used to that. Yeah. But with the players we've got, he is the man that will make England a world force. With the players we've got,
Out of him and Klopp, though, who would you...
For England?
Pep all day long.
Really?
All
With
day.
all day.
Because there
long.
is a school of thought that suggests that Klopp's style of play would be better suited to England.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you're right, but I would.
I'll tell you,
in terms of the whole package, I think, making
And
England
listen,
a force
if you
again.
don't want the England job, listen, man. The Rugby Boys will be the manager.
That's true. So let us know in the chat. Guardiola, does he leave? Does he stay? I mean, if he does stay, it'll probably just be a year extension. I can't see him signing 2, 3, 4 year deals. But if it rolls on, I guess that's a little bit more difficult for Arsenal to go and win a league, and anyone else who fancies going to win a league
also that's
as
another
well.
thing. Like if this is his last year, then I feel like maybe it'll be a Klopp situation where they're aware that it's his last year. Maybe it's not so public, but internally they
Is
might
that why
know.
he's leaving it open a little bit?
Well, maybe internally they'll know that it's going to be his last year, and then that's even more of a driving force to
that's
make sure
true.
he goes out on a high. If that makes sense. I know that didn't necessarily work out how you thought it would work out with Klopp, but maybe that came a bit too early. But if you guys,
January.
if you guys are like neck and neck in March, and then he announces leaving, I mean that's quite a big push to get you over the line, isn't it?
Mind you, the similar was said with Klopp, and that didn't quite work out, did it? When he announced he was leaving, everyone said, "Oh, the push they're going to get from that, the momentum."
Too
they get
early.
from that."
That is
Came
true.
too early.
Yeah, it was like January the 26th.
Might
or
be like
something.
5
That
months
was-
left.
Yeah.
But I like the way everyone's kind of cleverly anointing Arsenal as Premier League winners.
I think
already.
you're the favourites
I
this season.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that. I
think
like
you
the
are.
way you guys are doing that.
Well, you are favourites. Like
Yeah,
you want us
we
to
are
say you're not?
favourites, but
We can
it's
do that
not
if-
as simple
if
as
you
that,
want.
right?
right, but you are favourites, and in my
No, I think City
opinion,
are
You're
favourites.
used to the dizzying
You
heights.
have-
Actually, no,
You're
I
used
think
to the
City are
pressure
favourites.
that it takes.
City are favourites.
you have to win a trophy
We
this year.
are.
You
yeah,
must
we have to win a trophy.
You must win a trophy
We
this year.
must win a trophy. Yeah, I agree.
Must
I
win a
agree.
trophy.
But is it going to be the Premier League? Who knows?
Should be.
Who knows? Well, it's definitely not the J Challenge World Championships from last season either.
This season, I mean, that post is
That
wrong.
was
Yeah,
sitting
it's
nicely
massive,
alongside the
Mantle
Audi
place.
Cup.
It will sit really nicely in our big old dusty trophy cabinet. Yeah.
Beautiful. Right, we'll move on from Pep. Just on City though, still, Klavin Phillips has said he wants a permanent move away from City. I mean,
Fair.
I've seen some clips in
West
pre-season.
Ham.
I'm not going to lie, they're not great clips, Calvin. Gave the ball away, and the rest. As a West Ham fan who saw him,
He will be lucky if he gets to play football again. That's how bad he was. He was
Really?
awful.
go
at
to
West
Leeds
Ham.
then.
Was there a personal issue or something?
I don't
Because
know.
he seems
It's
to have
just
dropped
a,
off
it's
so.
just a fitness issue.
He has opened up about his mental
I was
health.
gonna say
after that
can't-
run-in
yeah.
with
But
Pep
they all
as
do
well.
when it goes up the Swanee. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not putting a downer on mental health or anything like that. But as soon as things start going wrong, listen, he made the decision to leave Leeds. He's sat on Man City's bench for a year, cheering, like winning Champions League, like he was involved. Then he came to West Ham. Cost us about 8 goals in 4 games.
Got sent off as well.
Sent off. Yeah, he was one of the worst signings I've ever seen play for West Ham. He could not play football.
Was it because
play.
he lost desire, or was it just he just had a bad time?
I just think he's lost the desire. I think he's lost the desire. I think he's just maybe started believing the hype a little bit.
Should never have left Leeds. Really.
And I did say when he was
No, stay for a few more and then really earn it.
When
Don't
people
just-
say things like that, I have to take exception. Listen, if you're Klavin Phillips at that age,
no,
and
Laurie,
City
you're
come
going-
in for you,
Of course,
you're gonna,
hindsight is easy for
Of
me to
course.
say, isn't it?
And there's plenty of players
At the time, you
that's happened to.
accept it.
Someone like
you would have left them. If
Do-
you're Klavin, you would have.
oh, of course,
Probably
of
would have.
course.
But if it didn't go well, with hindsight, you look back and go, probably should have
And I
done
think
that.
there's a lot of players that probably has happened to. The one that also springs to mind is like Danny Drinkwater. Like, was great at
working on buildings right now.
Leicester,
Well, he
and
already
then
won the league at Leicester.
yeah, I know,
Working
but
on
obviously
the
his
side,
stock was super high, went to Chelsea and completely fell off a cliff. So yes, you can always look back and say like those decisions haven't gone for you. But at the time, when someone's offering you that amount of money and also an elevation from going to Leeds
course
to
you're gonna
City, then of
take it.
course
Yeah,
you're
I
going to
mean,
take
there's
it.
There's quite a few
Gonna
players
take
that
it.
fell into the same trap.
Yeah.
Remember Scott Sinclair.
Yeah,
went
there's-
to City
there's
and
loads.
it never worked out for him. And
But that's the gamble and the risk that you take.
Roque Santa Cruz.
If a big club is coming in for you, and that's not disrespecting Leeds, but at this time, City is a massive step, and also his stock was super high, and I think that it's not necessarily about the desire. I think it's a confidence thing. When you've gone to City after being such a prominent player at Leeds and having such a good tournament with England and being spoken about so highly, then to go to City where it's just not worked out, that's going to massively knock your confidence.
I've got to say this though, Ab, with that sort of thing. I think if you're that sort of player, if you're the top of the top, surrounding yourself with the world class players, it should be making him better.
For sure, it should.
It should be making him better. And the
It
fact
should
is-
be, but you got to. I do take Abby's point. A lot of these high-profile footballers who reach the top, believe it or not, their confidence is quite fragile. So if they're not
Massively.
playing, their ego's affected, and they think, "Listen, man, I should be playing," and it can get to them.
And it's a desire to then overachieve. So I think when going to West Ham, obviously I didn't watch him week in week out when he was playing for you, but at the same time, I think if you're given that
Lucky
if you're given that lifeline where it's like, okay, well it's been really really shit for me at City and West Ham are taking a chance, it's that desire to maybe want to do too much and in turn
I think that-
doing the wrong thing.
Yeah,
or
I think that did play a part in it. But I remember watching him for England when he was starting for England, and we heard Southgate say about missing him this year, and I couldn't believe it when I heard it because I've obviously watched Klavin Phillips a few times play, but. If you see the way he played for England, as soon as Rice was out the team, I remember one game where they left Rice out the team, they put him in with someone else. He got torn to pieces.
Yeah.
He got torn to shreds.
He wasn't really match fit when he arrived at you. A little
No,
bit.
he wasn't, but he had enough time to get match fit, Laurie, and they never
Well, that's one of-
put
he's
him back
taken
in.
no prisoners.
That was one of Pep's
None.
early criticisms of him, was that he wasn't match fit. He was carrying weight.
He
And
turned up my weight.
Calvin Hawkins. Let us know in the
It's
chat.
true.
There is a player in there, though. I do think that he's still young enough. If he gets a decent move,
I think he's just rode that
mate,
wave.
I reckon he can come back.
I just think
29,
he's
isn't
rode
he?
the wave, mate. I think
he's not 29.
he's not
No way
young
he's
anymore.
29.
He's not young. He's not as young as you think anymore.
28, mate.
I still think that there's a team that he could do a job. I'm not saying it's a Premier League team, but I think that there's
Championship.
he can do a job for
Get
someone.
back down to Leeds.
Go
mate.
to Leeds.
Is he a Premier League player?
That's
Do
the-
we all agree he's
No,
a Premier
no,
League
no.
player?
I
What?
don't
You
think so. Listen, whenever
Wow.
Liverpool were linked vaguely with
I
him,
don't
I always
agree with
said,
that.
I don't want him anywhere near my football club. And then I was proved right at West Ham. Listen, he might not have been fit, injuries, whatever. I would have expected a little bit more than what we got.
But I was exactly the same as you when he came to us. I thought there's a player in there. But when I saw him,
think Leeds
there was
is
no
the
player
only
in there.
place where his happiness, his love for the game, and his enjoyment comes back.
Well, that can happen.
And go to Leeds, get them up,
Get the
and then all of a
confidence.
sudden
Yeah.
you're 30, you're in the Premier
Yeah,
League
yeah.
boyhood club. You know, it is what it is.
And there's a lot to be said for that. Sometimes you need to go back to where it was. For example, like Ryan Sessegnon, who's just gone back
And I
to
rate that, yeah.
Fulham after having a really torrid time. Yes, he's been injured a lot since literally the day we bought him, but had a terrible time at Tottenham and gone back to Fulham.
About 4 years?
5 years? 5 years, 6
barely
years?
played.
Barely, but he was injured for a lot
Barely
of it. But
played.
when he did play, again, I think that's another thing, confidence. Like, lots of different managers he had. Obviously, Poch was one that signed him. And then he's had like 4 or 5 different managers under that time, plus loads of injuries and long-term injuries. That affects your mental state and your confidence. And he's now, you know, free agent, gone back to Fulham.
Seen that with him as well.
Yeah.
But listen, I do disagree with you. I do think there is a player in there. I mean, you don't become a top player at Leeds, force your way into the
I
England
never
side.
thought he was that good at Leeds in the...
Okay, maybe you didn't
A couple
think
of
he was that
raking
good,
passes, but
would we agree that
on
he's
the
a
ball,
Premier League player?
No,
you don't.
I wouldn't.
I
I'd
think
say no.
he's a Premier League
I'd
player.
say-
I think he is. I'm not saying top half Premier League, but I think mid table. Yeah. You're telling me he couldn't go and do a job for like Burnley or someone?
I heard he
Or
was going to Ipswich. That's what I heard. I heard that
That'd be a
Ipswich were
good
into
decent-
it.
But
Ipswich,
that's
Southampton.
what I'm talking
Do you know what
about.
another?
that
Do you know
18th to
another
20th.
prime example?
I'm sorry.
Ross Barkley. Ross
Yeah.
Barkley.
Luton. No, but Ross Barkley was 10 times more talented
Fuck,
early on.
I'm not saying on the talent, but I'm
Klavin
saying that
Phillips.
again, a move that didn't materialise for him.
You've got to go down to go up.
Absolutely,
Is what you're saying.
and Ross Barkley had a brilliant
But
season.
I think Leeds
Abbi makes a good
Leeds
point
is the only
because,
club for me.
Prior to him rocking up at Luton, his career was going
Done.
nowhere.
Done.
Played for Luton, had an
Chelsea,
outstanding
yeah.
season. Now
Yeah.
look where he's now, back at Villa.
Absolutely.
Let us know in the chat.
Talk to
Who
him
do
being
you
in the England
support?
squad.
And would you want Klavin Phillips at your football club? Let us know. No, don't laugh. Don't
No,
laugh.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
So let us know if there's anyone out there that would like a Klavin Phillips. Maybe it is. Go back to
Southampton.
Leeds. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
A couple super chats.
Salesman lorry.
Connor says Pep is the only manager to ever have a club built from scratch with unlimited resources to play with to suit him perfectly, and his brother was given Girona.
Yeah.
They've seemed to bend the rules to allow Girona in the Champions League, haven't they, this season, which is a bit fishy as well.
To be honest.
Upper Deck says that new 100k seat Old Trafford Stadium paid off by taxes, says Upper Deck. Clara Bitsy, she's back.
Hi,
She's
Clara.
aiming the gun at me.
Fun.
Yep. AGT, are you worried about Trent hanging out with Jude, Mbappe and other Madrid players, including the C-Tech Militao?
Yeah, let's talk about that
It's
because
done.
they're all
Done deal.
sunning themselves up on that little pre-season tour,
Yeah, having
mixing
a
and
great
rubbing
old bloody
shoulders.
time, aren't they?
Are you
Rubbing
worried?
shoulders.
Because
Do you know what? Brilliant.
so
great. Clara's back in the house.
it's not
Cheers,
nice when it
love.
happens to you, is it?
Wow.
It's not nice.
Just keep sending the money. But realistically, me and Doyle spoke about this on the COP TV this morning. We don't mind him hanging out with Jude. That's fine. They're friends. You know, they're young professional people that have got a few quid. They want to go out and enjoy themselves. There's no problem with that at all. However, oh, Killian, what are you doing tonight? Yeah, me and Trent, just chilling. Yeah, come down. Yeah. Chumeni, what's up? Yeah, Trent.
So you sound worried.
We'll try and twist his arm a little bit.
You sound worried.
That's a little bit disrespectful to be dining and doing all of that with
Is it disrespectful
a
though?
team that has won 2 Champions League
Oh,
against you. However, here's the killer though. Signing shirts, Real Madrid shirts. That's a step too far.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's a step too far.
But-
Give the context to that.
Al,
What
I love
was
you,
it?
but Killian and Jude don't have to do any convincing. It's Real Madrid.
I know, but it's
You know
not
what I mean?
helps,
Knocking.
innit?
If
What are
Madrid
you
come
doing next
knocking.
year? Fancy doing this a bit more often, chilling with us?
I mean, firstly,
Listen,
if they're
there is
friends and they're
mates.
going to go out,
But I
either...
don't think Trent and Chouameni and Trent and Mbappe are mates. It's because
but-
Jude's connected them all, right? And
Well,
Jude's
yeah,
is
of course.
really good mate.
Well,
which I
you
love.
don't know. They might be really good friends. You don't actually
bloody
know.
hope not.
But either way, it's got to be ringing some alarm bells for
No, it
you,
does.
isn't it?
Me and Doyle were talking about it. We said, look, at some point you can see that he wants to leave. Protect ourselves, sign a new contract, see how you get on this season, because you might have a stinker and Madrid go, actually, we'll have Pedro Porro instead. Something like that. You know,
Keep
quite
your-
unlikely,
keep your
but... Or
That's what makes me
Carvajal's
think
going
he ain't
till he's
gonna wait.
42. So I think he will leave at some point, but there's a way of doing things. I think when Steve McManaman left on a free, especially as a local lad, there was a bit of a sour feeling, because it's almost like... But if you ask him, he'd say, well, I was there for a new contract, it never came. What a club to go to. I went, scored the winner in the Champions League final the same year. What a move. But there's a sour little taste. Obviously, Michael Owen's left us to go to Real Madrid. Xabi Alonso players have all gone to Barca as well. So I can see it happening. I'm not naive. I think it probably will happen at some point. But for him, I think he has to do the right thing and make sure Liverpool are protected in the deal, sign the new contract with a clause in if you want, or a gentleman's agreement to say, sign this, you go next year if you want. And then that's how you do business.
Are you able to provide some context as to this shirt signing gate?
Yeah, so there was a kid, right? And when I say kid, well under 10, outside this restaurant or whatever, Trent's there and he's gone like that with a pen. He's wearing a Madrid kit. Again, me and Doyle spoken about it.
Obvious?
Huh?
Obviously a Madrid. He's not got a jacket over the top.
No, 100% Madrid shirt, without question. Doyle said, well, you're not going to tell a kid to like piss off.
Which you're not.
Yeah.
You're going to go, oh, okay. Maybe have a little scan just to see if there's anyone looking at the time. Someone's obviously caught him far away and zoomed in. Doesn't look good. I'll be honest.
What you could have said is, I'll sign it, but not the shirt. Have you got anything else?
Yeah.
You could have said that.
Well, all I know is Harry Kane wouldn't sign an Arsenal shirt.
Well, that's
so.
exactly what I said to Doyle. I said, you've seen
That's all I
Kane
know.
go, oh, no, I can't sign that, sorry. And then that's fair enough, because
My
you think,
striker.
well, that's, you know,
My striker.
that's respectful. Listen, you've seen other players say, oh, I'm not signing that in the past. I think if it was an 18-year-old, he would have said, I can't sign that, bro. I hope you understand.
You never
But because
know.
it's a kid, maybe he's just felt like that was the thing to do.
Someone find an 18-year-old with a Madrid shirt. Let's see.
I would
Get
say,
Raul.
and I hate this. I hate to say this, but I would say if he weren't going there, he wouldn't have signed that. If it was a baby, if it was anything, because you just don't do it. You just don't do it. Why you're playing for? Paul Ince come a cropper with West Ham over something similar to that.
It's a howler, mate.
You know,
It's a
they
howler.
still hate him to this day.
They do,
It's,
yeah, I
it's
remember.
stupidly, stupid
'Cause
hate.
he wore the kit or something.
He took a photo with a Man United kit on. You know,
That's a bit of a
Like
quantum
kit
leap,
on.
though. That's a bit of a
And also
quantum.
kit on.
Signing a kid's shirt.
Why would you sign the shirt? Why would you sign the shirt if you're not going to Real Madrid?
Yeah, but if it's a little kid, what are you going to do? Let's say,
Exactly,
let's say it was your,
Hang on.
your
If it was a
son.
little kid,
Hang on.
Let's say it was your
Let's
son, and you wanted,
I'm gonna be
you
honest.
wanted Trent to sign his West Ham
No, I'm
shirt.
sorry. No, but he wouldn't.
Is it 'cause he-
I wouldn't
every-
allow it for a
No,
start.
calm
I
down.
don't know if the kid was accompanied by an adult. I don't know if they've said go and ask him or.
Just say I'll sign anything else, but I can't sign that. That is what you do.
No, I'm not.
I'll
Nicky
sign
Hawkins.
anything else.
Absolute Grinch.
Grinch.
No, I'm
football.
sorry, but I would
I'm kinda with you.
go as far as to give him something off my body. I would give him a jacket,
Careful
or,
now.
or a pair of trainers or something. No, but I would.
Sign this water
Rather than
bottle.
sign a rival team's kit, you just don't do
But
that.
it's not like it was a United shirt. It was a Madrid
No,
shirt.
but the rumours are he's going to Real Madrid.
I don't know. I think.
I think-
Listen,
you're-
if it was a Bayern Munich shirt or something, people would be going, oh, he's a football fan, he must collect autographs, there's no danger of him going to Bayern. But because he's just come out of the restaurant with all the
And the link-
Galacticos,
but the links
and then the
are-
kid's gone, can you sign that?
The links are he's going to Real Madrid.
Oh,
and
I
he's
think
signed
you
a Real
can't, you
Madrid
can't
kit.
get on
I think
him for
that's
signing a
stupid.
kid's shirt.
Yeah,
Shall we do a poll? I think that's what we
Yeah,
should
yeah, I
do
think
in
we
these
should.
situations on DR Sports.
I think if
We'll do a
I think if
poll.
it was a United
Was Trent
shirt,
right to do it?
like your actual bitter rival, like
But
if it
Madrid,
was.
we've lost 2 Champions League
Okay,
finals.
but they're not-
They've given him
It's-
nightmares
it's
by walking
different.
past the trophy, all crying in that.
That's why he
Different.
wants to join them.
Yeah, if you can't beat
No,
him,
but can I
join
just
us.
say, right, shirts aside, I would be more worried at the fact that he's hanging out with
With
his
him.
BFF.
Bro.
Bellingham. Do you think they're not having that conversation?
Signing
Trent,
shirt.
you think Trent's not saying to
Signing
Bellingham?
them shirts, Laurie, is more telling than you think.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, do you not think that them two hanging out together, those
What
conversations
shall
are
we
not
talk
coming
about?
up?
I don't know. Do you want to
No, do you know what's so funny? Remember when you was all like, "Oh my God, Trent's." They were at
Chris
Chris Brown and
Brown.
Trent,
Went
tapping
for a
Jude
walk
up
in
and
Qatar.
yeah, and it's like he's coming to Liverpool. Well, maybe all the way
this was
back
the
there,
way
last February
always gonna
when they
be.
went to Chris Brown, it was Jude saying, "Listen, mate, I'm going to go to Madrid. Let me
You're
get
coming.
sorted. Then you come year after,
Like
yeah."
your mate going, can you get me a job there? Let me get my feet under the desk,
Yeah,
then I'll see if there's any vacancies.
Maybe you read that
Or
situation
maybe the
all wrong.
conversation went a little bit like this. Jude says to Trent, "Hey, listen, them man rate you, you know, bro."
Harbour House says you're the
Yeah,
next up,
hey,
you
he
know.
says, "Bro, listen, if I was
Sign a
you,
thing.
You can have the shirt.
if I was you, mate, I would
66.
agitate for a move." Because them man said, "Yo, you think
And he's
that
gone,
conversation?"
lads, yeah? Are they saying that, yeah?
Because let's be honest,
Fucking
those
hell.
things happen. We hear about when players go on international duty. You always hear stories about players acting on behalf
Tapping
of
up.
clubs, tapping up next man. So
Yeah, it's Bukayo Saka's got a lot to answer for. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, Decker's through the door.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a
Deckers.
tough one, right? Well, look, we have asked you, was Trent right to sign the Real Madrid shirt? Yes, it's not that deep, 63%, and we've got 250 votes. No, read the room, 36%.
both things can be true at the
Interesting.
same
Yeah,
time.
it's true. Yeah, there's no
and
opinion.
maybe he gets asked
Right.
about it, or maybe he hushes it, or I think what would help is him getting back into pre-season. Right, you've had your holiday. Yeah, there's only so many places we can catch you socialising with Real Madrid players. You're in
so
America.
funny.
Just go. Just a week early. I don't care what it is. Just get down there, put that Liverpool shirt on, feel the love, get involved with the new manager and his, transformative tactics.
I'll give you a little bit of
stuck
hope,
in.
though. I'll give you a little bit of hope.
He's definitely not leaving this summer, though. No way is he leaving this summer. I'm telling you that.
When
You-
people
The window
saying,
closed.
when
There's
people saying
part
what-
of you that is worried about that. I can see it in your eyes.
this
I can
summer, bro.
see it in your eyes.
when they're saying
See it.
when they're
Hold
saying
it.
things like
Next
what
summer,
they're going
yeah.
to talk about, trust me, they've got a lot to talk about outside of football. Football,
Life.
Life.
You think about it.
Life
We're not
is
like
life.
footballers don't live in a weird way.
Not
Obviously, they
Ben
live
White,
and breathe
anyway.
it in a way, but at the same time, it's not as deep as we take
but
it.
you can't
It's also their
deny
job.
that there's some little private joke going,
Yeah, I'm sure.
they're doing that. Who's getting around it? Go on, you get this. I'll see you in Madrid next. There's little jokes. That's
Yeah,
what
of
lads
course.
are like, isn't it?
Well,
it's tough,
well, let's
mate. It is
see.
tough.
I just feel like the back end of this window is going to be wild because everything's been
It is.
pushed so.
It is. And speaking
there's
of
another
that,
Liverpool
It's still
story
been really
that
quiet.
me and you touched on off camera. I just wanted you to tell the people your thoughts on it because I was very intrigued by it. You guys have obviously heard about it. The Curtis Jones saying it's the happiest he's ever been under the new manager Arne Slot. Was that disrespectful, Alex?
no, it wasn't disrespectful because there's context to everything. Okay. And when you see headlines, I'm not saying when you see them, but when people see headlines from the Daily Mail that twist it and say, I'm glad Klopp's left. I mean, it's just laughable how far away from the truth. What he was asked on was how his playing style will adapt into Arne Slot's new, revolution that he's creating at Liverpool with the high press, kill them with passes, have patience on the ball. He's really adapting to a style that, according to Curtis Jones, he believes he could be the happiest in his career because of the system. Maybe in Klopp's system it was a bit more injury prone because he was having to run so much, there was a lot more pressing. Maybe he feels more control in his own skin in this Arne Slot team than Klopp. I don't think that's...
As I said to you downstairs, Alex, I'm going to reiterate this. Do you not think it comes across as a little bit disrespectful? This manager's just rocked up and you're saying, it's the happiest I've ever been. That kind of gives the impression that you're trying to diss Klopp.
I think it's
I
politics.
don't think so.
I think it's politics.
I
I don't think you look too much into it. I think it's just the point of the new managers there. Give him a bit of praise, lick his bum a little bit. You might get in the team.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
But, I do think certain players that maybe were on the fringes, including a Tyler Morton, including a Harvey, maybe if you wanted to say that, including a Curtis, they're going to get a lot more game time under Arne Slot with the way that he plays
they might
the
do, they
midfield
might do.
They're not
setup.
making any plans.
Kudus has said
Well,
so.
Liverpool, and we'll get onto it now, Liverpool are the only team in the Premier League not to have signed anyone yet. Late last night, as I was tucking into bed, apparently Liverpool rejected an £11.8 million offer for Endo from Marseille. Obviously, De Zerbi is trying to recreate a bit of steel in the midfield of Højbjerg. Apparently, though, this bid was made weeks ago, and then they signed Højbjerg, so it was almost like a delayed leak. Me and Doyle have been speaking about it this morning. He was brilliant for us last season. He didn't lose a game in a Liverpool shirt till March. He 7 out of 10 every single game. He breaks up the play, starts the play, scored a few goals, scored a really important goal against Fulham. To almost send out a deterrent, because we don't seem to have a replacement ready, or another not even a replacement, another number 6, to send out a deterrent, I'd say 30 mil or nothing. He's not worth 30 mil because he's 30, 31 coming up to, but it's a deterrent. Because we haven't got anyone else coming in that position, why would we can't afford to lose this kid. And again, he's the Japan captain. He was excellent for Liverpool in large parts of last season. So yeah, of course we reject that. That's a non-starter for me. And then we're hearing Tyler Morton, Atalanta are interested in him. We heard that Richard Hughes and Arne Slot said in August there'll be an avalanche of transfers. Arne Slot said he'd be surprised if no one comes in. So again, like every window with Liverpool fans, we've got to wait till the end and then judge it.
How big's the avalanche?
It's like a snowball.
I was going to say,
just one
avalanche
snowball.
might have been a stretch.
It's just one snowball. That's what he said. So yeah, what do you make of Liverpool rejecting that offer from Marseille?
You have to. If you're not going to, I think Endo did have a really good season for you, to be fair, little engine room.
He is.
And I think that because you're not really doing much so far. I mean, no one's really doing much at the minute. But unless you start to do stuff right at the back of the transfer window, which I think a lot of clubs will be doing, you can't risk it. You know, this is a new era that Liverpool are coming into, a new manager. Endo's been there a season. Like, why would you cash in on that now?
Well,
like for that amount of money as well. Like, I think he's worth much more than that. So I don't think that remotely suits Liverpool to get rid of Endo at this point.
Bid, isn't it?
Yeah, it's maybe they were just testing the waters. But until you know what your plan is, I wouldn't be trying to get the likes of Endo out, who
100%.
are good players that are reliable and had a really good season last year. It wouldn't be one that I'd be looking to sell if I was a Liverpool fan.
Totally agree.
Can't let him go. But what I would say is, if I was a Liverpool fan, and I'm not winding you up, this is just being honest.
Here we go.
No, wait for it.
Wind up coming.
Here we go.
I'd be a little bit concerned that no one's coming in, because there's an old saying in football, and it applies to sports in general: if you're not progressing, you're actually regressing. So I would be concerned as a Liverpool fan.
That money's ridiculous.
I'll judge it when the window's over, which is a month today, people.
Yeah, there's still time.
Yeah, but that money that they've bid for him is ridiculous. You know what you get for 11 mil? Klavin Phillips.
Yeah, it's
That's what you
actually
get.
quite rude.
It is rude.
I reckon Oliver Skip goes for
Captain
more.
of an international team, 11 mil.
Yeah, that's rude.
That's
Rude.
Klavin Phillips money.
And there's no
mate.
chance
That's-
that you were ever going to accept that bid.
No.
Are you not linked with
It's-
anyone, though?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course we are. Of course we
Who
are.
are you linked to?
No, I mean, seriously linked with, not just like...
We've been linked to Ryan Ait-Nouri at Wolves. We probably need a new goalkeeper if Kelleher makes his mind up whether he's coming or going. You need a new number 6. We've been linked with Edison at Atalanta. Bruno Guimaraes. Again, lot of very distant rumours though. Nothing concrete where you go, this actually could happen in like 2 days. We could see him holding up the shirt. Nothing like that. Nico Williams, you get linked with all these players all the time, but nothing ever happens.
I think there's
when
going to
you're
be
a
it's going to be a
Liverpool
very busy August. You have to
Well,
think about
I
it.
hope
It's been a weird summer, hasn't it? Because of the Euros as well,
Yeah.
pre-season stuff. It's been busy.
I would imagine
so-
Mr. Slot will probably bring over a few players from the Eredivisie.
Also, you might not go massive in this window.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe
they're-
it's
they're-
just to see how you get on,
I was
and
gonna
then
say
we'll
there's-
address anything in January.
Yeah, I think it could be that. Like, let's see how we get on so far, and then let's see how
Don't
you're
forget,
doing. It's a
Fabio
big
Carvalho's come
change.
back.
Yeah.
Tyler Morton's come back. Both had great spells at Hull in the
Mo Salah
Championship.
staying.
Mo Salah staying. You know, hopefully Trent stays.
It's a
You're
bit of
looking
a
at
transition.
a
It's
new
transition.
signing by bringing in more experienced younger players that can fit in and play some roles. You know, Trey Anoyi had a great game against Real Betis the other night. 17 years old. Looks some player.
They've still got a lot of good players.
So there's young
Liverpool,
players
you know
there
what I mean?
coming through, but if you want to be in the top 2, 3, try and push.
Yeah, but you have to think
do
of
have
this.
to buy a couple.
You have to think of this as a transitional season.
Yeah,
Like,
again.
maybe your board don't want to go all in and say, right, we're giving you all this money. I still think you'll make maybe 1 or 2 signings,
Yeah.
whatever they will be.
No more than 2.
But they
I
don't
can't
want to
see
give you all this money in case it doesn't work out. It goes tits up. You know, look at my club. How many times we've done that? Give them a manager money, and then they've brought in shit players,
And
then the
although it
manager
is
gets sacked and you're left with
it is a
So-
transitional season, however, there will be a certain amount of pressure on Slot simply because of the legacy that Klopp left.
Yeah,
of course.
but I would
And
also.
we already know that he's going to change the style of play. You don't know how that's
But I
going to
would
go
also
down with
think,
the
as a
fans.
fan base, you are going to have to be patient with
We
this
know that.
season. So,
100 well, Doyle said the first thing we need to do is pray. So
No, but then Alex was on this show a week ago saying that you'll only accept, what was it you said?
top
no,
four.
it has to be
So
a
Top four and a
putting
trophy.
pressure
yeah,
on
big
the manager.
trophy or cup run and the top 4. Yeah.
So
If
that's
you
not
can't deal with-
transitional talk,
Look,
is
if
it
you
really?
can't deal with that pressure, you shouldn't be in the manager's seat.
Okay, but what I'm saying, that's not transitional talk, is it? If you're saying,
But
I
people
demand
last
trophy.
season, people said this is a transitional year, whole new midfield. McAllister, Soboslai, Endo, whole new transition year. Almost won the quadruple.
Yeah, but that was
we
with
were
Klopp,
going
though.
to April and we were still in for all 4 trophies, and that was a transition year. So who
Different-
knows?
different
Very
It's a
different.
different type of
Very
transition, I
different,
would
but a different transition.
Are
year.
you worried that you could be the next United?
Never.
Just wondering.
Never.
I don't take it
What,
so
with
personally.
holes in the roof?
Not
Never,
the holes in the roof, but
Not
just
us.
in that transition when you lose a manager that's
What,
you
and
know
go
such a
down to
big
like
part of
8th
your
or
club.
9th?
I'm just asking you. I'm not trying to rattle you.
I mean,
Let's
look at the
not forget,
example.
the team was really good last year, and we've not sold anyone. You know,
that's
there's
true,
another
but-
year or two. That's a great team still.
But speaking as a supporter of a club that appointed a manager out of nowhere, Arteta, look at his first couple of finishes. 8th, 5th, 5th, 2-2.
Yeah.
So it
He's
might be
got
that you
patience.
might have to drop down a couple of levels to come back up.
And you
I
two
don't
can
know
get a
about
second
8th,
place
though.
trophy.
Maybe
I don't know
not.
about 8th. I can't see us doing a United.
I don't think you'll finish second next season. Often.
Okay,
You were saying
we'll see.
second. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I said 3rd, didn't I?
Oh, 3rd, didn't you?
Yeah, I think you'll win the league. But there you go. I think that's enough on Liverpool. We'll move on to Tottenham. As we mentioned, the new J-League World Challenge champions.
Huge.
First of many potentially
Huge.
this season. A couple of exits, Ab.
Yeah.
Brian Hill.
Brian Hill.
Matt, can you just explain to us, as a Spurs fan, how
the logic was.
the logic between Seville and when you first got in the loan, blah, 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 what happened
the loan. So basically, I think we gave money plus Eric Lamela for Brian Hill. Then we sent him back on loan, and then he come back to us, and then I think we've basically sold him back. I don't really know how we've ended it, but
do you remember the meme? Where
yeah,
it's like,
so I saw the
give me
meme.
25 mil on Brian Hill.
We
I
gave
give
Eric
you
Lamela
Brian Hill.
money, Brian Hill on loan, then back to us, then back again on loan, and now he's basically signed for them.
Dodgy
it was a
dealings,
very, it was just typical Spurs signing. Like never was going to fit them. Like credit to him, ran about a little bit when he did play. Never was physical. Like he was never gonna. He was never
Looked like one of the Beatles.
He was just never cut out for the Premier League. Like he didn't have the physicality that you need to have in the Premier League, and you could see that from literally the first day he ever stepped onto a pitch.
You know what? Saying that kind of reminds me of Fabio Vieira. That's exactly what a lot of us
Mate Vieira's a bit more.
Just
Ready
look, every time he's gone to Sevilla, he's won something. So credit to them, but obviously.
But he's going to Girona now.
Yes,
Title
he is.
challenging Girona.
Which will be good. I think he's perfect for Spanish league. Like that's literally
That's
where he
made
came
for
from
him,
and what he's excelled in. I think the Premier League is different. It's super physical and it's super fast. And I think if you're not at that level of also being super technically gifted as well, I think you get found out early. And the physicality side, I mean, he was just
It's also a very unforgiving league. You don't get a lot of time.
and you could snap him in half. So if you're going to get cameo roles here and there, you're going to have to do a lot to kind of impress. And he didn't really ever. So I would have loved to have kept Eric Lamela. He was such a great player for us.
Was it?
I loved him.
That goal against was it Arsenal?
He was just dickhead. And sometimes you
I was
need
going to
that.
say he's more the
He was never going to be the best, but he understood what it meant to wear the shirt. And imagine him and Romero and all the little nutters in the same team. So
we give him some stick when we played Sevilla.
Lamela.
Yeah. Yeah, we give.
I'm sure.
Can you repeat what you said? Or no, definitely not.
But yeah, so that's one outgoing that again didn't really ever make a difference or an impact. Obviously, Højbjerg's gone. We spoke about that briefly last week. Sessegnon, yeah, he was on a free anyway. Contract
Another one,
up.
Emerson Royale, close to AC Milan.
Yeah, that one's been talked about for quite some time. I'll miss the compilations because he loves to do a comp of his games, and he's really like. He became a bit of a fan favourite because
cult hero.
Like a cult hero.
He started off, they hated him because he was shit, and then he actually.
I don't think anybody has ever said that he's still not shit. Like it's one of those things where actually, if you ask him to sit and stay in a position, just defend, and actually the best performance I've seen him have is when he had to fill in a centre back. Like he was actually quite good.
He had a really good game against City as well.
Yeah, centre back. So like there's been games where he's not been terrible. He definitely improved as time went on, but he became a cult hero because of his comps and he's just a funny guy, like great character.
That join your football club and they're not good enough for your football club, but it's clear that they're not going anywhere, and you get sick of booing them.
Yeah.
You do. Like you get sick. We had one called Thomas Repka. I don't know if you remember Thomas Repka.
Back, Czech guy.
He was a centre back that we signed him for. He was awful. A lot
of red cards,
point where it got so toxic.
You start to love him.
You start to love him.
Republic dudes.
Bermorte was the same.
Yeah.
Lewis Bermorte was exactly the same.
Lucas Leiva was a little bit for us.
Yeah.
You always get a player
I'll
like
tell
that.
you one for Arsenal that he never got booed, but a lot of the fans didn't really rate him, but they liked him. El Neni.
Yeah, that's one. I think it's a time thing. The longer you stay there, he's one of us now.
It just gets to the point where you just become a bit of a cult
hero.
hero.
Abbi though, didn't you?
No, that was disgraceful.
And
but with El Neni, he wasn't really rated by the vast majority of the fan base. However, you would really find somebody who would have a bad word to say about him.
Yeah.
Who else? So he'll probably go. That's one that's also Richarlison.
He's
probably going to Saudi.
Wow.
Probably.
If you get that money back for him, you've had
Which
the
would
biggest
be
touch
what
ever.
a blinder that would be. And then we can go get Ivan Toney. So fingers crossed. Not that I don't love
to me, that's just like
but
a chess move that
Yeah,
I can see. Maybe
I hope
not.
so.
I didn't think
God, I
Saudi
hope so.
because then you're you're saying goodbye, really, and he's only
I will
what,
hate
20...
if Tony goes to you guys.
I know you will, but I mean that's
That will
That's
really
the
wind
reason
me
to
up.
get him, though,
but
surely.
of course, and also the fact that he would be great for us.
We want him.
I did a video on it last
Not
week.
everyone
here,
does on your club.
and
No, I know,
he
I know.
would be great for us. And I think, look, whether or not this Richarlison deal comes off, it's been spoken about quite a long time now, but it's got a little bit of traction the last couple of weeks. And if you can do that and you can get back near enough what you
Even
actually
40,
paid
you'd
for
take
him,
that, wouldn't you?
oh yeah,
take
and
20.
then you just want to trust that your board will then go and do the right thing and then sign
To me,
Ivan
that
Toney.
is so obvious.
It's
That's
so
like, sell
obvious.
him, buy him, bosh.
And also,
We've
like, that
improved
elevates
everything.
Tottenham massively. Like, we've made some decent signings. Like, again, they're under the radar type signings. Like Lucas Bergwall, he joined us last year and then went back out on loan. He's looked really good in pre-season. Archie Gray's looked really good as well. He's been filling in at centre back, which he's obviously not, but
What's
he's been
the
really
striker
good.
called?
The striker,
young lad?
Mikey Moore.
Mikey Moore.
He's been brilliant.
Proper
Like,
footballer's
and
name, that,
another one, you know, one of our own. And he's been great. And I'm actually,
I'd rather start
really,
him than Richarlison.
there's a big thing that he probably will be starting a lot this year because I think he needs to sign a new contract. City have been sniffing, and he needs game time, and he's looking really good. And I hope we get to see him. And I'm all for seeing the young kids come through. Like, it's been such a long time since we had someone come into the side that is one of your own. And
He's won you a trophy. He scored in the
he
final.
did. He scored the winning goal. My G.
What a
Legend.
start, by the
My
way.
lad. But he looks really confident, really good on the
Moore.
ball. Archie Gray's been good, line breaking passes,
Archie
like
Gray.
really good. So yeah, they're not stellar names. Would I still like to see Ivan Toney? Absolutely. Would I have loved to see Eze? Yes, like these players that we've been linked with for months. But even if we could just get one, like that really shows me the intent of where we're going.
Spurs have got to go out and get Ivan Toney.
And I think
I'm
the
really
build
worried.
is something.
I've heard whisperings that West Ham are looking at him.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But then I've
Slight
heard
whisper.
It's got
that
a
we're
month
going down a different
to
path.
sort it out.
But what I would say on the Ivan Toney thing, I
Different
don't know
path.
if you know, but they signed a striker.
Brentford.
Yeah, Thiago, I think his name is, and he's got injured in the pre-season.
Oh.
So it
Well, I
could
think,
be
I think
that
for Brentford,
might
it's
try
a
and
bigger,
hold on to
but it's a
Ivan
bigger
Toney.
picture for Brentford, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it
Because
is,
the money
yeah.
will be, if you can get 50, 60 million for Ivan Toney, that's huge for Brentford. And for them to wait and chance it and go to January, where they'll
Yeah.
probably get half that when he's out of contract next summer, I don't think that's worth it. You know, they had a season without him pretty much last year, or half the season. So I think they can.
I know there's a Brentford
Take the money.
season ticket holder at my gym, and I speak to her quite regularly, and she said a lot of the Brentford fans just want him gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of his attitude. But I would say it's
It's a
I'm on
perfect
the
signing.
record as saying I would love Ivan Toney at Arsenal. I know people have got question marks about his so-called attitude and this and that, but as I was saying to Nick and Alex off camera, listen, man, I think that's the manager's job to manage people like that. In football, you get mavericks. We've all seen them at different clubs, down to the manager to manage them. Thomas Frank did a really good job. Okay, I know the last season things kind of went south with Tony there, but he was always going to be looking to leave anyway. And I think that played a large part of it. But
Yeah,
prior
of
to
course.
that, Tony had been really good for Brentford. So listen,
Very good striker.
we need him.
And you've also signed South Korean winger
Yes.
Min Hyuk Yang from K-League
Joining
side
in
Gangwon
Jan.
FC, joining in Jan.
Yeah, I
Young
mean, I
prospect.
haven't seen him, so I can't
Yeah.
really comment. But yeah, look,
You
fingers
guys
crossed.
like tapping into that southeastern market?
We
Asian
absolutely
market,
do.
that's
We
the
love
money.
that market. The money's good. Also,
Money's
there's another
there.
player that we signed last year. I can't remember his name. Luca something, but another young kid.
Yeah, I heard. I can't remember. his surname,
I think he's
remember the
gone
name,
back out on loan again this season. Not sure, but I can never remember his last name. But he's one again for the future. So I don't know what Spurs are trying to do, but fingers crossed.
though. We will
Won
see.
a trophy so far.
And that can't
all
get much
positive.
better than that, really.
What can I ask for, right?
Exactly.
One
Fulham
trophy.
looks like they're going to be signing Emil Smith-Rowe, which I think is a real... Listen, it's good for Fulham. It's a great bit of business. But if I'm Emil Smith-Rowe, if I'm an Arsenal fan, this one just fills me with sadness. Because
Not really.
he was meant to be Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe, the song.
Yeah.
He was meant to be, after rave reviews from Jamie Carragher, I remember him saying he's one of the best on the ball in the Prem in that kind of
Very talented
2021 era when he was playing.
But I would stop short of
35
saying
mil?
sad because, yeah, I mean, listen, to me, it's mutually beneficial. We got to be honest, as good as Smith-Rowe has been, injury and subsequent loss of form has cost him his place in the team. He's not getting football. He's a young man, talented. He needs to revive his career. He's not the only one. There's a few at Arsenal. I would put
Eddie.
Nketiah, Reece Nelson in the same bracket. These guys need to be playing football. I'm sure Smith-Rowe's got aspirations of getting in the England team. He was knocking on the door not so long ago. I think a move to Fulham, progressive club, good manager, good players around him, stays in London, decent money.
Yeah.
Time to shine. Listen, if he goes with the vast majority of the fans' blessing. I think he'll do well. I think it's a good move for him.
I think it might be a little bit reluctance from him, but I think he knows that he's got to go because he turned us down last year in January, which I thought would have been a perfect move for him at the time, you know. And he turned it down point blank. So he obviously, you know, had aspirations to get back into the Arsenal side. Thought he was a little bit better than that, but he's got to go and get some football. And I said the other day, you know, it's a difficult decision for him, but I'm sure. But Fulham are making some shrewd signings, some smart signings.
And they play good football.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the dark horses this year in terms of like pushing up the league a little bit.
And don't forget they've lost Paulinho, so they need to strengthen that midfield.
But I think they've made some shrewd signings, some players that are on the brink. You know, like players like Traore. You know, always thought that he was going to go on to greatness, went and played for Barcelona and all that, but never quite made it. And they've sort of given him a new lease of life. I think Smith Rowe could be the same. Willian.
They're a solid, well-run club. They're not going to win anything, most likely, but they're not going down
either. They could give a push next year. I think they're making some shrewd signings.
Arsenal. Calafiori completes the medical, flying to Philadelphia to be with the team. Good signing. Happy with the fee. It's taken a while to get over the line, but it looks like we could be seeing the almighty picture of him hanging up the shirt soon to make it official. I'm sure he'll be there. I'm sure that's already been recorded, ready to schedule out. Happy?
Yeah, I am. Listen, with Calafiori, we saw him in the Euros. We know he's a good player. Obviously, with Bologna previously, got him into the Champions League, highly rated, can play left back and centre back. Good on the ball, 6'2", strong, aggressive, quick. He's got all the attributes that you would expect that he's going to do well. But I would just say this though, Alex. As much as I welcome the signing, I'm going to say this. To me, he will enhance the team, but I'm not sure if Calafiori on its own is going to get us over the line. Football, as we said before, is a low-scoring game. You need to score goals. We need a striker that's going to get you 20 plus. As decent as Havertz finished the end of the season, what was his return? 13 goals? Bukayo Saka was our high scorer with 16. We need a 20 plus striker. We've not had that since Aubameyang left. We need a striker. So until I get that through the door,
you've got a month.
You're not gonna
get that.
Hear me say, the title's in the bag. We need a striker.
Okay, interesting. Just on Arsenal, there is interest in Victor Gyökeres. I think I probably ruined his name there. From Sporting Lisbon, or is it Girona? I can't remember.
Gyökeres.
Gyökeres.
Yeah, he's a good player, but. Listen, my first choice would have been Isak.
Yeah, Sporting Lisbon.
We're not going to get
a lot of goals
Isak
last year.
Yeah. We're not going to get Isak. We're not. Doesn't look like we're going to get Ivan Toney. So we may end up getting Gyökeres. There's been talk about Osimhen. I must admit, I'm not overly enamoured with Osimhen. The times I've seen him, I've not rated him. Maybe Gyökeres is the answer, but we definitely need a striker at the club.
I actually saw him play. I remember now for Coventry in the in the Championship playoff final.
Yeah, I remember watching that, and he was actually the best player on the pitch.
I said Gustavo Hamer and him were the best two players on the pitch. Hamer went to Sheffield United, and then they had the worst season ever. But good.
Yeah, I remember watching that game because obviously I got Luton roots, and I watched that game. And you're right, he was the best player on the pitch that day. However, it's a bit of a quantum leap to go for playing for Coventry to playing for Arsenal. So.
But he's gone from Coventry to Sporting Lisbon. They're a good team.
Yeah. No, he's a good player. Definitely.
How do you feel about losing on penalties to Manchester United and scoring an offside goal?
What you should be saying to me is congratulating me on winning the Rivals in Red trophy. That's what you should be saying.
I should.
No, listen, the pre-season, man, we had the two games. First one against Bournemouth, 1-1, one on penalties. Second one, we beat United. Listen, when you play United, it's never really a friendly, is it? I watched that game. I don't know if you guys watched the game.
No.
I didn't stay up.
It was pretty tasty in the first half. There's a lot of tackles going in. You can see both teams wanting to win.
Euro got injured and Hoyland got injured and Johnny Evans, I think. So very tasty.
Bet they were happy.
But yeah, well done, I guess. Congratulations. And Liverpool next on Wednesday night for Arsenal.
Looking forward to that.
Again, whatever happens score-wise, there will be a penalty shootout. You know the Americans love
So
a bit
weird.
of a show.
So bizarre.
Could be 10-0.
Yeah, I must admit,
Why?
having a
I know,
penalty
I'm giving it all
shootout when
that
you
as
won
well.
the game is such an anticlimax. I see where they want a bit of entertainment for the fans. The culture of football in America is obviously very different to it is here, but it still seemed. You looked at the players when they were taking the penalties. They're thinking, why are we doing this?
It's ridiculous.
It is.
Ridiculous.
Go on, Nicky, the floor's yours.
No, because it's just things like that. It's about money. I was saying to Abbi outside. We played a game in Florida a couple of days ago against Wolves. The weather was awful. It was torrent. The pitch looked like a swimming pool. There was lightning in the air still. They had a 2-hour delay in the kickoff to get the surface water off of the pitch, and they still made them play it. And I said to him, you look up and it looked like the apocalypse was coming. It looked like that. It was like there was lightning bolts in here. I'm thinking, get these players off the pitch, man. It's dangerous. It's dangerous, and I mean that with the greatest respect. You ever been to Florida?
I was
them
there
storms,
this time last year.
them storms are no joke, mate. Them storms are no joke. You know what I mean? Like there's
Will
reasons.
Smith sings about it.
Exactly. Yeah,
and I can attest to it.
Yeah, mate. I've been there, and they, if you're swimming in them weather, they tell you got to get out of the pool.
Bro, I was on the beach last year in Miami, right? All very nice, sunny. Guy puts a red flag up, everyone in. Storm happens. It's like clockwork. 4 or 5 o'clock, the lightning's everywhere.
It's a joke, and they still made them go. It's all
nice.
about money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
That being said, though, we've got to understand that these clubs are global brands like Arsenal, even West Ham. I'm not trying to diminish.
No, we are a global brand, Robert.
You are a brand, yeah. So, in order to expand that brand, there are markets abroad which you need to explore. So, I'm all in favour of the games. But the penalty shootout thing, I'm with you. I thought that was
weird.
corny.
It's all weird. It's just weird.
Silly.
You could see when the players were taking the penalties, you could actually, the looks on their faces like, why are we doing this? There was like no emotion.
Laurie, it's a
It's
joke.
rubbish.
It's a joke.
Onana was doing his best to try
You
and
want
make
to watch
it
football?
entertaining.
Watch
Onana
football.
giving it all that.
That is
Yeah.
not football. If you win a game and then you go into a penalty shoot, that's not football.
Very
that's
odd.
That's an exhibition.
Very American.
Well, they do these like MLS All-Star things where the ball gets pumped, you got to chest it, hit it in the box. where it says
Yeah, I
10
remember
points.
them. Yeah. I think.
What is this?
Kai Havertz last year missed every one. I think.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that,
but
yeah.
that's not.
It's
Oh,
just
if you get
it's a
20
different
points, you're a great
culture.
footballer. Come
We
on,
do
bro.
have to understand, though, it's a different culture. So you have
It's
to
not our
take that into
culture.
consideration.
They want to take our game, take our culture.
No, but we are playing over there. And we are reaping the benefits of that money.
No, we ain't. They are.
Well, yeah. But,
You know what I mean? We ain't.
I'm all in favour of the concept, but the penalty shootout.
Your players start getting injured, and then
Well,
it's
Josh
no
Kroenke-
joke, is it?
Your owner's son, I believe, vows to oppose Premier League games in the USA despite massive offers from US broadcasters. FIFA might be ready to endorse the plan. I mean, I think Sadiq Khan came out the other day and said, as a Liverpool fan, there's loads of Liverpool fans in America, why shouldn't they see a game? You're massively overlooking the point by saying something like that.
Come to Liverpool.
That's what pre-season's
That's why
for.
they come to Liverpool, and
Come
that's
to
why they're
Liverpool.
all sitting in the
Yeah.
cop every week.
I've always said it, and you know, I know people, people watch us globally and everything else. The Premier League is the Premier League because it's in England.
Yeah.
You know, you watch
the
Liverpool, you go to
EPL,
Liverpool.
isn't it?
You watch
The
West Ham, you go
English
to
Premier
West Ham. You watch Arsenal, you go to Arsenal. You watch Tottenham, you go to Tottenham. And I said to Abbi outside, every continent now has got a tournament, a Premier League tournament. You know, they're playing in one in South Korea, we're playing in one in America. I don't know where your guys' one is, but it's going to be one in every.
No, but you know what?
continent.
You do say a lot of things that are true there. However, the corollary to that is, and Abbi will attest to this, is that NFL, they play a couple of games over here and they're
But that's-
massively
Which
successful.
is what I
That's
said.
your
They're
fault.
massively
But that is
successful.
their
Cheers for that,
culture.
Abbi.
My
That is
fault.
their
Go
culture.
stadium.
If they start, listen, it's going to happen.
No, so we've seen
it's going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's going to happen.
They'll-
There's
they'll-
no
they'll-
doubt about
Where does it stop?
It doesn't.
Well, it doesn't stop, but
doesn't stop.
I'm not
Away
totally
in
against
America,
that.
And then Real Madrid and Saudi on the Tuesday night.
Well, that's what it'll be. It will end up being something like that,
Yeah,
like the
it's-
NFL. And
it's-
obviously, like those games, it's great because if you're an NFL fan like myself, you get to go to an NFL game, which you might not get to go
And
unless
they're
you
all
go to
sold out,
America.
am I right?
I'm happy
Sold
to
out.
go,
Obviously,
to be
that's now gone from being at Wembley to then being at Spurs to then now being in Germany. Massive NFL following in Germany, and they're
That's a
always sold out.
franchise
Of
sport,
course,
though.
it's a franchise
America
sport.
creates franchise
And also, it's the type,
sports and
yes,
sports
and it's the
teams.
type of sport that, for example, like the Oakland Raiders were in Oakland, in California, and then they basically decided to move it to Vegas, and they're now the Vegas Raiders. And it's mental. Like, and then it's like, well, what happens if you live in Oakland? You've got to drive, however many hours to go and watch your team in Vegas.
Is between that and in America, they don't follow them teams. Their club is their college.
Yeah.
That is who they follow religiously. Them clubs can come and go. They move towns.
Yeah.
As you say, they move across the country. They're just a little folly for them.
Yeah.
It's not a little folly for us. These are our
religious.
Clubs. It's religion.
But at the same time, I think that the way that the industry is going with football and how much marketing there is globally for it, like there will come a point where there is a game, whether it's a one-off game,
39th game
in kind of January where we have that little bit of a break. There'll be a game.
Philadelphia.
I must say, I'm not totally averse to it, Nicky. I'm not. I think
I am.
Laurie, that's up to you, mate. But
a one-off game abroad,
not,
I think,
I'm
they're
not
quite
having
interesting.
You give them an inch to take them out.
Mile,
One
that's the
off,
problem.
right? Oh, we'll have two.
It's not the Americans. It's not the Americans. It's not their fault.
It's the Premier League.
It's the Premier League, and it's FIFA. That's what it is, because they're so greedy.
But obviously, it's a big build-up to the World Cup. They want as much light on the game.
But if the clubs vote for this, right, and they've had all of this time, because that's
Nick,
when
if
it'll
it's
happen.
financially beneficial for the clubs,
Of course they
they'll
will,
vote for it.
but if they've had all this time and they've always gone on about these winter breaks and everything else, right? And I've heard Jurgen Klopp say it, I've heard Arsene Wenger say it, I've heard Harry Redknapp say it in the past about winter breaks and all
everyone
that.
else has one.
Don't tell me about winter break. Don't moan about your players being overplayed, because as soon as they get a gap, they fly them off to Malaysia or Hong Kong or something to play in tournaments.
During the season.
Right, hold on. Right at the end of the season, as soon as we finished at Sheffield, we went straight to Australia for one game.
That's what I'm saying.
Newcastle.
So
Wild.
do not start whinging about them being.
Facts.
It's ridiculous, because they don't want a break. They want a break, and then as soon as that break comes along,
ways, yeah.
you know what I mean. If you want a break, you want a break. You don't say we want a break, we want a break, we want a break, and then fly them off to the Far East.
So we'll have a break in Saudi for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. It's ridiculous.
Moving on then, Chelsea. Down here it says pre-season
Are we done
horror.
with Arsenal already?
Yeah, no, we have.
We're done. We're nearly done for the show.
Yeah, I know you wanted to carry on, but no, we must move. Down here it says it's a pre-season horror. 2-2 draw to Wrexham. They lost 4-1 to Celtic, Chelsea, with most of the players back on the pitch of high importance anyway. I mean, the age-old question, does pre-season really matter? Probably not. I mean, I remember speaking around about this time last year to Rio Ferdinand, and he said we used to go to South Korea and get smoked out in China and then go and win the double.
When you
So
say
it
pre-season
literally
doesn't matter, you mean the results? Because pre-season does matter in terms of
the
preparing
fitness,
the
of
players.
course. But in terms of the
Results-wise.
results, it doesn't mean anything.
Apparently, they've also made contact with Federico Chiesa.
Oh, that's one we're linked with as
also
well,
after him.
which I
mean,
couldn't quite believe.
That guy has been linked with every single club
Touted
in
here,
Europe.
there and
It's
everywhere.
wild.
He's obviously
as
got a
if
very good
Chelsea
agent.
need
Got a good
that.
agent, yeah.
As if Chelsea need... didn't they bid 70 mil the other day for someone that no one's ever heard of?
I don't know.
Don't let them
can't
keep them
keep
going,
up.
mate.
I don't look at what
That
Chelsea
financial fair play will catch up with them sooner
Chelsea
rather
are
than
funny.
later.
Oh, honestly, I don't understand.
You
them.
love to see it
I
with
really
Chelsea.
don't.
It's interesting with Chelsea, obviously Matisse is not here, but you chat to their supporters, there's a real sense of impending doom for this season.
Yeah,
It's so
good.
great.
Right,
I love it.
Good. That's what I'd say.
And the latest-
Good.
Makes me very happy.
The latest stuff with the Enzo gate, I reckon, could be...
Could be curtains for them,
Could
mate.
be
yeah.
toppling.
it could be.
Manchester United, Euro goes off injured against Arsenal, Højlund as well. Both precautionary, potentially worse though if the scans come back negatively. They are looking on signing Noasir Mazarao from Bayern, the right back. Wan-Bissaka could leave and go to West Ham if the asking price of 15 plus is met.
Our Mazarel, we was in for Mazarel, and the talk broke down at the last second. So now he's going to United, and Wan-Bissaka's coming our way. Apparently,
Would you prefer that though?
Bayern Munich ain't letting right backs go for that cheap for no reason. So yeah, I'd rather have Wan-Bissaka.
Wan-Bissaka would be an excellent.
Yeah, I like Wan-Bissaka.
Wan-Bissaka's good signing.
Just on that as well of United, out of all the teams we've talked about so far, they're probably doing the most business, aren't they?
They needed to do the business,
Well, they're interested still in De Ligt. They obviously were interested, if not they still are, with Jared Brandtwaite. I was with an Evertonian fan at the weekend who said Brandtwaite's better than Van Dijk. I had to just walk away. I couldn't entertain.
Xerxes a good signing, though, right?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Time will tell. PSG also interested in Sancho still. I think he stays now because of the money involved. Couple super chats to finish off. Subish007 says, I think people are sleeping on Villa again. The signings, they're another team, by the way. That
I'm
have
not
been
sleeping
doing
on Villa.
Really nice ins and outs at the minute.
Not sleeping
getting a lot
on
of money in the door. Signings have been very good. They have the second best manager in the league. They might do a title charge. Do you know what?
It might be a title charge.
He might be the second best in the
Yeah,
league.
listen, he's
He
a
might
very
be the
good
second
manager.
best in
Just
the
because he
league.
didn't work out at Arsenal.
Doesn't
Yep.
mean he's not
He's
good
a good manager.
manager.
100%.
He's a good.
I mean,
Arif says, why are you acting like Trent even has a choice? There'll be a group of Liverpool fans that will threaten him till he stays like they did Gerrard. No comment. Aya says, there is no worse transfer than Andre Santos to Arsenal. Bit harsh. I can name you a good 3
Yeah.
or 4 from Liverpool.
I'm from
Yeah,
Spurs.
that
Christian
whole
Poulsen, Milan Jovanovic, Paul Konchesky.
Oh, yeah.
Andy Carroll.
Leave him
Sorry.
alone, all right?
I know he scored against us in
This
the
is a
Carroll.
whole. This is a
Andy
whole different
Carroll?
show in its
There you
own.
go, Andy. We could be here
We
all
could
day.
be all night.
All day. Emil Smith Rowe just needs fitness. He'll be back at a top 4 club. Says 263 tie. Great name.
It's an important move for him.
263.
Yeah. Needs it. Needs it.
EM says this nonsense about the 20-plus striker. Calafiori is not only good in defence, but he also contributes a lot in attack. Oh, so is he going to get you 25?
He's
He's
Is he?
going to get you 20
plus
goals. You're going to
isn't
maybe
he?
you're going to play him up front. Who knows?
Dragon says all Arsenal needs after Calafiori is Mikel Merino. Very close to that apparently as well.
Yeah, we're looking at him.
he
Ruiz as
actually
well.
also played with Odegaard at Sociedad.
Yeah, he did.
A few years back.
Listen, those signings, as I said, will what I can enhance the team. But it is my opinion that if we're going to usurp the likes of City, we need a guy that we look at City. They got Haaland. It's no coincidence, is it? He rocks up, goals. You know what I mean? That's what we need.
Yep,
You
very
know?
true. Red Square says, which Premier League games, away or home, travelling times between competition, that can never happen without compromising the integrity of the competition. Think title challenges, a lot at stake. It's very true. It is true. And I think that rounds it off today. We've covered all the transfer comings and goings, as well as, of course, the pre-season action as well. Get the likes up just before we leave as we say goodbye to the crew.
It's not long to go now, is it?
No.
Not long.
This time next week,
Couple weeks.
we'll be looking ahead
Can't
to...
wait.
Oh, I can't wait.
season.
Can't wait
I'm
to
really
be
looking
back.
forward to it. Nikki, Abby, Laurie, well done. Congratulations.
AGT.
Can I just say it's a pleasure to be on here? I'm
Yeah,
always get on
same-
this show,
same for me.
but,
It's a good
I
show,
really
mate.
Got
enjoy
a
the
couple
show.
more weeks, lads. Then you're off
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, I know. Man.
Will you be wearing
It's
red
nasty.
in 2 weeks, Abby?
Absolutely not. I've only got 2 more weeks left of wearing red.
Fair play.
And then
We'd
it's
love to see
then
You look good in red, man.
Thank you. I think I
thought
take
it was
a
an
compliment.
Arsenal tribute.
I do really like red, and it's very in right now. But yeah, I only wear it when
It's
the
a bit
season.
like I like blue.
There we go. It's just when the season starts, no more red for me.
That's what it is. All good. Right, guys, thank you for joining us. Press that like button on the way out. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll be back again next week. Take care.